Welcome to Crossroads and Callings. I am your host, Chimere Brown. And for those of you who do not know, this is the podcast dedicated to navigating life's pivots and discovering a pathway to purpose and true calling. Today, I am hosting my wonderful guest, AdeOla Fadumiye. Bro, I was practicing. Is it right?
You got it right.
Oh my gosh. Beautiful name, beautiful spirit, beautiful person. And I'm so excited to be hosting her today. AdeOla is a builder. She is a serial entrepreneur, 3 times founder to be exact. Most recently, she is the founder of Thrive Core, which is a project management studio dedicated to leading strategic creative initiatives for major brands, healthcare and social impact projects. But she is also the founder of Behind Inherit House, which I would love for you guys to get plugged into at the end of this conversation. But Inherit House is a powerful convening platform that builds authentic relational capital and translates into actionable impact for professional women. Today, we're going to dive into the powerful topic of building beyond the crossroads. Welcome to the show, AdeOla.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, I'm glad to have you. So you and I had a really great conversation in preparation for this episode about what it means to be a builder and create your own space. And so what I'm hoping for listeners is at the end of this conversation that they don't wait for opportunity, that they begin to create opportunities that speak to them, projects that they love to do, that they are the masters kind of their own fate instead of just waiting for life to happen.
Yeah.
And as we shared, there's a lot of fear with that. So I hope that through your story and you being open, that they can go beyond the fear and really embark on what it means for them to show up as their best selves.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the conversation today. Thank you for joining us again in Crossroads and Callings. It starts now. Okay, AdeOla, we are in a time where opportunities feel really scarce. There's a lot of people that are just laid off and very displaced. But for you, when did you know that you were a builder?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I would say it was when I was a little girl. And I remember 2 instances come to mind. I grew up in Nigeria, went to elementary school in Nigeria. So I was probably around 9 or 8. And I was playing in the playground. And I realized that there was a lot of dirt on the playground. And I thought to myself, what if we as the students cleaned up the playground?
Okay.
And I remember recruiting a group of my friends and said, let's start a club called the Volunteer Club. And our role is to pick up the playground after school hours while we're waiting for our parents.
So you recruited your friends
Yes.
for manual labor. And they were like, yay, let's clean.
Well, I can be persuasive. So
Okay,
they like, yeah,
I can believe that.
But we had cleaners, but I just felt like no one was doing it because of that one instance that I saw. And I said, you know what, let's get together and let's clean. We never did it. But that was my first experience putting ends to something that was mine and galvanizing people together to help accomplish something that I wanted to do.
And so is that, you think, was like your base foundation to becoming a serial entrepreneur that kind of lit the match under you? Or was that something, even though that was a small seed, that it took a while for you to kind of build in confidence?
I wouldn't say that was what triggered the desire to be entrepreneurial. I think that just innately for me was I would step into something, I would see a need, and I would want to fill it. But I did not see that at that point as an entrepreneurial spirit or a reason to start my own business.
Yeah.
For me, what triggered the entrepreneurial journey Well, what triggered the entrepreneur journey is what triggered me is different from what made me want to stay entrepreneur.
Got
The
it.
fact that people can pay me money was like, I can make my own money without working in corporate was what made me stay on this path. One of the reasons. But what triggered it for me was I graduated college in 2010 and I was looking for a job and I could not find a job. It was during the real estate bubble thing and there was no job in the market.
For those of you that don't know and maybe a little bit younger than we are, there was an economic decline, almost a recession, like that between like 2008 and 2010. Where it did impact real estate, it impacted healthcare, and then it impacted those that were graduating and their ability to get work. So, which explains why that was such a struggle for you.
It was a struggle. It was a real struggle. And I actually got a job, and it was in Indiana, but the pay was not something I was willing to move for. I think it was $20-something thousand in a year, maybe up to 30. And I was like, I'm not leaving DC to relocate my entire life to Indiana where I did not know anyone.
Yeah.
So I said no to the job. And then my job at that time opened up a role for me for a year because they knew I needed to pay my bills and I did not have a job. And while I was doing that job, I got another role in Pennsylvania. And I was able to negotiate almost 6 figures for that role. And then a couple of weeks after, I got retracted. And I remember I got the call while sitting in my boss's office. She was waiting for her to come in. I got the call and I got up, went to the bathroom, sat on the bathroom seat, and I cried.
Yeah.
That moment is very vivid to me still, and it's 15 years.
And it still seems like it's very painful for kind of the rug to be pulled from under you in that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting on the toilet chair and just crying. And I remember thinking to myself, this feels like a heartbreak. I've only had one heartbreak at that point in time in my life. And I feel like something was taken from me. So I decided to stop. Well, no, that's a lie. I decided to keep looking, but to stay at that job for the year that it was open for. And at the end of that year, which was in June of 2011, I was visiting some friends and we were on the couch. All three of us were unemployed. And we're just talking about it's been a year since we all graduated, no job, still looking. And I remember sitting there like, I don't want this to be my life. I'm not going to sit here and whine about not being unemployed. And I remember something inside of me said, well, how about you engage what's in your heart with what's in your hand and the things in front of you? And that triggered something for me because it meant whatever I had in my heart, what I desired to do, I had the skill set for. And there are people that would need the skill set.
Let's stop there. What was in your heart and what was in your hand? Because a lot of us have things in our heart, and then a lot of people have things in their hand. But like, what was that? What did that mean to you at that point? You had experienced probably the second most major rejection that you've ever experienced.
Yes.
You were out of work for a year. And I believe the story will speak to other people. That's why I'm unpacking it. There are probably close to 600,000 plus Black women that are laid off right now. And not just Black women, there are layoffs across industries right now. And I know personally someone that is approaching the year and a half mark of being laid off. So describe that, your ability to be able to really just sit with yourself and assess what's in my heart, what do I have to offer at that point, at this time?
Yeah, so prior to that moment of having that emerge out of me, I've always been a writer. I wrote my first manuscript when I was 8. I've had both public and private blogs. And I know that I am a gifted creative writer and I know I can write. And I want to tell stories. It's one thing I say often. I want to tell stories. I want to write. I want to sit at writer's table and tell stories. So I knew that in my heart was a desire to tell stories.
So it's in you, yeah.
Yeah, desire to write. My dad is a writer. I've been reading books as thick as this since I was 4 or 5, my dad's books. So I knew I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to write. And I knew in my hands was this gift of writing. And it was in the season where content was king. People were starting to do blog. Content was a thing. So I told myself, I'm just going to be a freelance copywriter and see, what that could bring for me. And the thing that could make me do that, and I would say it is very vulnerably, is because I knew I could go back home. Like if I'm gonna start a business, I've never had a business. My dad is entrepreneur, but my dad is worked in corporate. My mom worked in corporate, so I didn't come from an entrepreneurial background. But I knew when I made that decision to engage my desire to tell stories with the gift of writing, with the content is king environment we're currently sending it at that time. I knew I could go back home and go home. So I moved back to Minneapolis because I was living in DC at that point.
And your family was
my mom and dad
migrated from Nigeria
yes.
to Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. So my mom and dad was still in DC. I mean Minneapolis at that point. My siblings were in the DC Maryland area. So I moved back to Minneapolis. And that's how I started my first company.
What was your first company?
It was a freelance writing, copywriting. It wasn't an agency, it was just me, so it was a company.
It was an agency of you for you,
by me,
by me, for me.
And my first, I say this often, my first client was my best friend's husband, and I wrote a few blog posts for him, and he paid me $290.
Okay.
And that was all I made that year.
Oh wow! So what did you do in addition to? Because one thing about embracing an entrepreneurial spirit, even and from the place that I sit, that money does not come in right away. It is a slow trickle. Like you just said, you made $290.
Yeah,
for
from
the entire,
August to December of that year.
For your first year, half year of business.
Yes.
So what else did you do to kind of supplement income for yourself?
Yeah, so I went home, so I knew I didn't have to worry about food. I didn't have to worry about
what
housing.
A blessing to be able to go home.
It's a blessing.
Because a lot of people don't have, it's a luxury. The older I get, I realize a lot of people don't have the luxury of going back home.
Yes.
They may have grown up with parents that, like, when you're 18, you got to get out and you can't come back. But, like, what a privilege to be able to go home and, like, recalibrate.
Yes. And I'm also Nigerian, so being 18 and living home is not a cultural thing.
Okay.
But I can always go back home now if everything falls to crap. I can always go back home. So when I moved back home, I knew I did not have to pay for rent. Food was always in the fridge. My parents could drive me everywhere because I didn't have a car, and I could use their car if I needed to. But I knew I needed to make more money because I also had student loans to pay. I didn't have to pay at that point, but it was coming. And so what I did, when I was in college, I worked at the school daycare for 4 years. And when I came in, I was just a regular worker, but I became an assistant teacher by the second 2.5 year into that. And I babysat throughout college. So I knew that I could babysit, I could nanny that if I needed to do something like that. So I remember when I moved back home, I made a flyer in Word or something, and I put it in people's mailbox to see anyone needs a babysitter, I'm willing to do it. But that didn't pan out because it was also in a very small town, and I'm black.
Girl, you don't have to whisper. It's very clear.
I am black.
That you're black.
So like I don't think no one. I did 1 or 2 interviews, but I knew from the interview that I wasn't gonna be asked to come back to babysit the kids, so it wasn't a big deal. But then I moved back home July of 2011, and I decided living with your parents in your 20s. Even though I could go back home, it's still different because I'm like, I can't go out. I can't stay out past 10 p.m.
You have to respect their home.
I have to respect their home. It's not my home. So I decided to go back to DC. So when I came back to DC, I went back to all the babysitting jobs I did when I was still studying. I started dog walking. I'm allergic to cats. I was cat sitting. I did some Airbnb co-hosting. So I did a lot of hot jobs in 2021 through 2017. So that was what I did to make some more money.
When did you begin to either really turn a profit or did you end up going back into corporate?
So I never went back to corporate.
Okay.
Because I think I've always said my top most value is freedom, but it's actually agency.
Tell me about that. Your top your value is freedom and agency. What does that mean?
For me, it means knowing that I could make money and I had time freedom became very important to me. like I had no idea it was a thing until it became a thing. Like I like the idea that I don't have to go to a 9 to 5 and work after 5, because most people that work 9 to 5 work after 5.
Yeah.
And the idea that I was sending out contracts, people were signing and sending me money, that did something for me.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I really focused in, I could make this a thing.
How long did it take it to make it a thing? Because at first you was only making $290 for the year, and that is not a livable wage.
Where?
Exactly. Especially not in DC.
No.
And then you're watching people's children. Tell me how long did it take for you to be in business to create a profit? Because what I'm trying to gather is just how you just stuck with it regardless. Because it started off at $290 for 6 months or whatever the case may be, but it didn't stop there.
It didn't stop there. So there's a journey to. I think the next year I probably made $12,000 that year.
Okay.
From freelance writing, but I was also babysitting, and I wasn't really figuring out how much that was. But I made enough money because I could make a living. But I was also living with my brothers in DC and with my cousins. They're like, I'll come here 1 month. I'll go there 1 month.
Yeah.
So that was 2021 into 2013. But by 2013, 2014. I decided, you know what, my undergrad is in mass communication, public relations. One of the tracks in that PR track is event planning. I'm like, I can plan events. So I started taking on more like event planning clients. I was more assisting other event planners in the DC area.
What kind of events were you doing?
I was doing weddings, I was doing conferences, I was doing retreats, I was doing seminars.
Whoever's having an event, I'm here to help.
Whatever was available, I would take. It's interesting. The day I decided to step into event planning, I think I was sitting down on a computer and I was like, God, I'm not making enough money. I need to make a living. And I'm applying for jobs. I was still applying for jobs at that point in time.
Yeah.
Nothing was tracking. And I just had this emerge out of me, event planning, the same way the third engage what's in your heart. It just came out of me. And I was like, well, I helped my sister with a wedding. And my undergrad is in mass communication. My first job, marketing, I was marketing assistant. I did event planning. I planned events in college for the club that I was a part of. And I was like, but I don't want to be an event planner. So I was like, okay, God, if you want me to do this, you need to give me a sign.
You know what? I'm going to stop there because I think that is a turning point moment in a lot of people's lives. It's like, I need a sign that I am on the right path.
Yes.
Especially when you're working in what I call a season of silence, meaning you're doing just enough to get by, but you haven't received any like confirmation that this is right.
Yeah.
What was that sign that spoke to you like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm not behind. I haven't lost anything. This is what I'm supposed to be doing at this very moment.
So I'm not sure if I got a sign that I'm not behind.
No, that's real.
It's real. But for that moment, my question was more if I should add event planning to the palette of things I was already doing. Give me a sign. And that was a Friday. On Saturday, I went to church. And the pastor came on stage and said, we need an event planner to help us plan. And I just felt that, like, that's your sign.
That pull,
That pull.
yeah.
So I ended up, stepping into that role at my church, and I planned retreats for 3 years. I planned events for 3 years
And
with
this
them.
was a salary job?
No, it wasn't. It was volunteering.
Okay.
This was a volunteering. But because I was doing that, I could take that and start to reach out. I think I made the spreadsheet list about 100 event planners in the DMV area, and I emailed every single one of them. I said, I'm looking for an assistant role because I did not want to be an event planner. I didn't want to have a company, but I can assist and I can make money that way. And DC is a prime wedding.
It's a conference city.
Conference city,
It's a
weddings
wedding
are happening all over the DMV. So I emailed at least 100 planners in the DC area and said, I'm looking to assist. I've done this at my church and I have all this skill set. And I ended up working with 4 of them as part of what I did, including writing. But I ended up also taking on my own events. Because after a while, I'm like, I can do this for myself. I don't have to pay.
Yeah, and they can pay you directly.
And get the full payment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because you said you're a 3-time founder. Did you have like a business name for this business?
Yes, so my writing company was Just Write, G-O-S-T, and then W-R-I-T-E.
Is it still are you still doing that?
I closed that down. I can't even remember, it's been 10 years, maybe. But it was June 23rd, 2011 when I launched my first business, I remember.
I feel like that's a pivotal moment. When we talk about your first crossroad was that initial rejection and then having to figure out how to create space for yourself. And you were forced to do it, really, because of the economy. But then when we talked about your second crossroad, you mentioned that you never went back to corporate, but you did share corporate space.
Yes.
And I want to talk about your experience with sharing corporate space, because out of that sharing of corporate space, that is when you were able to birth Inherit House. So would you mind just sharing that story?
Of course. So I believe, my first business was 2011, and I had to do marketing. I had to do sales. So when I had it on event planning, and I started doing beyond event planning, production, project management, video production, photo production, it means I had to sell. I had to go into rooms, conferences. I had to go into calls. And
you were selling yourself.
Selling myself,
and
selling my
skills.
company, you know. Then, because I also created Christiana events, and then that became Chris and Tiana, which was a production company I had. And one thing that I realized fast was in 2011, 2012, 2013, I did not know a lot of Black women in business. I knew a few. I'm in DC. There were quite a few people. But when I'm going into these huge conferences, it was before COVID, it was a lot of older white men. And I just went in there. I'm pretty confident in myself. I know what I can do. I know my skills. I can sell myself. But the room speaks a different language than I spoke. I'm usually the only Black woman in there, or the only woman sometimes. And it was a very delicate season for me, really very delicate, because I would go in and I just did not feel like I fitted, even though I would show up and be like, I'm Nigerian, I will hustle my way through.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of bruises.
Is there a specific incident that stands out? Because I feel like you're trying to get around it, but I kind of want to hear what that is. Because you know what, I'm not here to exploit pain, but I want to validate people's experiences.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people of color, or in Black women in general, that show up in spaces that are not created for them, and they leave as a fraction of themselves.
Yes.
As opposed to the person that they showed up as. And I really want you to speak to that pain, because out of that came something very beautiful. So if there's a specific incident that really stands out to you, that you said, yeah, I got to do this. This is not right.
So two incidents, two comes to mind that I'm going to share. The first one was, I went to an event, and it was a small networking event, and I remember standing. It was a lot of older white male, and I remember we're sitting down just talking, and this white man that I initially talked to when I came into the room, as I was leaving, he came over to me, was walking in and came, "You're such a pretty girl."
He tapped your face?
It felt like a slap to me, but it was probably a gentle tap. But at that moment, it felt like a slap.
It felt like assault. Because you didn't invite this person to touch your person, your body. Yeah.
But it did it as it walked out. So by the time I recovered, it was gone.
Yeah.
And I was
probably shocked too.
I was shocked. I felt violated. I just felt irritated and angry. So that stood out to me. The second experience was I went to a conference, and I met quite a few people, and I was talking to this older gentleman, and he kept saying, "You're so beautiful. You would get this contract. You're so beautiful." I'm like, what does my beauty have to do with this contract?
Your ability to work.
And so I've had very instances like that, where it just felt a lot of sexual innuendos.
You were sexualized.
Sexualized. And aside from that, those are the things that stood out to me now in this moment. But moments of just knowing that I did not feel safe in the room or feel sane. So it was a very delicate season for me, just trying to navigate how to sell, how to get clients in a big crowd of people.
How did you get through that?
I just hustled my way through it. I had things to do.
Yeah.
I had bills to pay.
So you kind of just took it on the chin and just moved forward.
Kept moving forward. And I know Black women experience that in corporate spaces.
Yeah.
You came here to do the job. You have bills to pay. You have kids to take care of. You have family to take care of.
You have responsibilities.
But
it lit a fire in you, because it didn't end there.
No, not at all. So I think that was 2011 through 2019 was when, I was just, by 2017, to be honest, 2018, I found my footing in terms of I was making good money. I had hired one or two, an intern and an assistant.
And this is through events and...
It was through production.
Through production and events.
Through production, more through production. I started producing, because I worked on events, I had access to produce photo shoots, video shoots.
So it evolved.
I evolved.
Yeah, the business itself began to evolve into production.
Into production work.
And then you're starting to generate income. Now you can hire.
I could rent an apartment with friends. I could take care of myself. I wasn't like making a lot of money, but I could. I wasn't making $12,000 a year.
Not anymore, right?
Not anymore. And I remember that day was 2019. I was standing in front of a pizza store, and I said to myself, I need to create a space where I can bring a small space where I can bring in women professionals, where we can come to feel taken care of, cared for, and we can also network. And that was early 2019. By June of that year, I had invited 6 women to a table, and that was the beginning of Inherit House.
Yeah.
It was. I knew my goal was to have an intimate space. I did not want a big conference room. I did not want because traditional networking felt very draining to me. I feel like it spent to me. I'm an extrovert.
Yeah. Traditional networking is so transactional.
Yeah.
And it's less about the relationship. It's more about what I can do for you and what you can do for me.
Yes.
And that's why it's taxing, because it is literally siphoning off your energy without really pouring something back into it. But what you created with Inherit House, it's almost like an equal exchange. In your own words, could you describe what Inherit House is?
Yes, so I call it a convening platform for professional women. And sometimes we invite men into the spaces, but it's for professional women. And the goal is really to build an intimate convening platform. The tables are not bigger than 12. It's usually 6 to 12 women or 12 people at a table. And my goal is to have us be able to come into a room where we know we're here for networking, but the space is created in a way that you are creating relationships that go beyond just a transaction. And at some tables, you come with an ask, because women are not socialized to ask for things. So it's very important to me that some tables are curated for just a connection, and you can go build your relationship beyond that. Some are created for you to come to the table with an ask, and everyone is coming to the table with one thing. So in that way, you're not feeling salesy.
Yeah.
You don't feel like I'm asking for something, because we're all here to ask for something.
We're all here.
And I say we break bread, which is the connection. The relationship. We break bread. We close deals, which is the transaction piece, and we build tables, which is a legacy piece. So it's important for me I'm not just coming here to break bread with you. We're coming here to break bread. Let's make some relationships, but let's also close some deals and build some tables.
Yeah. AdeOla is, I feel like you're being modest, but Inherit House is literally, even though you call it a convening platform, you're literally building your own tables. And these 6 to 12 women, they come together, they have dinner, they have lunch, or
brunch or dinner. They both of them dinner.
Yeah. And when I say it is a thoughtful exchange of experiences and ideas, it really is. And that's why I said for you to share your story, because there's a lot of people that have felt displaced in a space that we were socialized in. We went to school to be in these spaces that didn't necessarily welcome us, and you felt unwelcome. And then you created this space and started inviting women to grow and thrive and exchange partnerships, build partnerships, make money.
Yes.
That's
important. The make money.
Yeah, the make money part.
The make money, open doors is very important to me.
And then they start reaching back too, to help other people along the way. And so it's a living, breathing ecosystem of professionals, businesses, and ideas.
And I say it's a place where you can use your social relational currency without feeling icky.
Yeah.
And to be honest, manipulative.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, when I initially started Inherit House, it wasn't called Inherit House then. for me, it was a table for care because I felt very bruised and delicate. I was bringing women to the table, knowing that we're all trying to build something, knowing that that's going to happen there, but I really wanted to care for the women. But a year, 2 years into it, something happened that made me realize this is a place where we also build economic impact.
What happened?
So a lady I invited, so in the beginning it was all by invite only. I met you, I liked your energy, I think you should be at the table. So a lady she came to the very first table, June 2019. And I've known her in the past, but never met her in person. So I invited her to a table. And I remember 2021 of January, she called me and said she just got hired to a huge role at the Aspen Institute. It's a think tank in DC. And she said, I need someone to come in and help me produce the 5 projects that I am going to be in charge of. And she told me, she's a Black woman, and she told me, when you come back with your proposal, do not come to the table with just any amount of money. She's like, think about what your proposal is going to include, because this is going to be good work. And no one has ever told me that before. I just figured out what I was going to charge based on all the things, the math, and I charged. So I remember I had this number in mind per month. I was going to be a retainer kind of project per month. And when I called her and told her, she was like, no, I'm not paying you that. I know your work. I've heard about you. I've seen your work. I'm paying you what's in the budget. And what was in the budget was about $30,000 or $2,500 more than per month than what I asked for. And that did something for me. Because I realized that I don't know this lady, but she met me, she's heard about me, she's been in a room with me. And then I started hearing that ladies at the table were working together, starting businesses together, signing clients together. I was like, wait, there's something more here beyond just a place of care.
Yes.
So that was what shifted from just a place of care. Care is always going to be a pillar of Inherit House, but this idea of sponsorship, kicking down doors for each other, that became just like a roaring sound in my head that this has to be part of what you're building.
Why were you undercharging yourself? Because you seem so self-assured in who you are, but then to be charging lower than, and for someone to have to, she reminded you who you were.
So I wouldn't say I was undercharging. You don't know what you did not know. In my mind, the money I brought to the table was $4,000 a month more than what I typically charge in the past.
Got it. Okay.
So for me, I'm not shy about asking for money, but as a woman, sometimes you don't know what you do not know. You're not privy to the information. I do my research. I ask around. I'm not shy about talking about money. I'm not. So when I came to the table, what I was asking for was way more than what I've ever asked in my life.
He was like, this is a lot to me.
It's a lot to me.
But by the industry standard, she was like, ma'am.
She was like, no, I'm paying you what's in the budget. It was $2,500 more than what I was asking for a month.
Yeah.
And that for me, and after that, I have never charged below that. It keeps going higher and higher than that. So, but I think sometimes you live and you learn. And now if a client, I've learned for the most part, after two clients says yes to a price, without hesitation, I know to raise my price.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a learning. It was
a good
learning experience
too
for me.
excited to pay you, and you're like, I should have charged a little bit more so they could think about it.
Yeah. But see, I wouldn't say I was undercharging myself consciously, because after being in business for myself for 15 years, I don't play with my money.
No, I get that vibe from you. Nothing about you says I play about my money. Not even a little bit. I do have a question about, because I've been to two Inherit House dinners. One was a dinner and one was a brunch. We talked about a little bit what you've learned about yourself and how to charge. What have you learned about other people? Because I don't feel, I always admired how your passion for women, but I also know that all women don't have the same experiences and don't have the same passion for women that you do. So I never really understood like your vetting process and knowing and trying to see if we're all here for the same thing. So what have you learned about people?
You know what? I would say, let me talk about what I've learned about women.
Okay, women, because it is geared towards women in particular. Yeah.
It's shifting, but at the core of it is.
The core is women, yeah.
The very first table we did, like I came in with conversation cards. That was the intention. But we women, we talk. We have a lot to say sometimes.
Yeah.
So we just started talking, and the conversation was around infidelity and having children. It was interesting. The second conversation and how that affects the work we do and how we work,
How we show
our
up.
ambition, the ambition gap, whatever that means. The second table, and we talked about work, but a very long thread was community and the people we love, the people we serve, the children, people that had babies, mothers. And I've seen over the years, I've hosted many of these tables, informally, formally, paid, unpaid, all of that, is the biggest thing that I see that women have in common when it comes to this idea of going from not having babies to having babies and getting married is the care gap, where we shoulder everything, and your partners do nothing. Well, don't do a lot. You work in double shifts. You go to work, you come back. I see women sit at the table and talk about how they worry about what having kids would do for their career. The idea of planning ahead even before you have kids, what you want to do with kids. Even before you have a partner, what you're going to do with a partnership.
Did it change?
Men don't think about that.
No. Did it? But you're single.
I'm single.
And you want children.
I want children, yeah.
So what did that do to you, hearing their stories? Because I will say this. I've been at tables with a lot of women, and I hear more horror stories about marriage the older I get than I do about good stories.
Yeah.
And not to say that there's not any good stories. And I can't even blame social media. This is coming from people's mouths. You are hosting, how many tables have you hosted to date?
Over 30. I have to think about it.
And just assume over 30 tables, 6 to 12 people that is a lot of story. You have a sample size of data.
Yeah.
How has that changed your notion about what you want for your life?
I think for me, it makes me very intentional about who I'm going to partner with when I do partner. And I was talking to a friend yesterday, and we're talking. I was like, I have a plan for how I want a mother. I do not want motherhood to be hustling and striving. Yes, there are sacrifices we all have to make as parents.
Yeah.
Mothers tend to make the most sacrifices, just in the culture, the patriarchal culture that we live in. But there's a part of me it's very important to me that I'm very thoughtful about who I partner with. And it doesn't mean people are not doing that. People do change, but for me, it's that intentional partnership.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm going to have children with you, what that looks like. I know I'm the kind of mother, if I can afford it, I am getting night nurses. I'm getting the nannies I need. I'm getting the care I need. If I have to go spend 3 months after birthing in a mothering, the space where you go for 3 months after you have a baby and they take care of your baby, if I can afford it, I would do it. I'm thinking very intentionally about mothering when I do have kids and about partnership.
Yeah.
And what that looks like. I don't mind, sitting home for a couple of months because I'm also older, so my body's gonna need to rest. But I do not want to stop working. I enjoy working. I do love working. But if I want to be a mother, I know I would have to make sacrifices. So for me, the partner I partner with to have babies is very, very important to me.
It just made you reframe a lot of things.
I'm just married just for the love of it. I love you, but I want someone that wants to be a partner, a husband, and a father.
It killed the fairy tale for you.
Yeah. Because I'm sitting with married women, single mothers, mothers with kids that have good partners, but they still shoulder a lot.
Yeah. That's amazing that you see the continuity that connects us all, the thing that connects us all. Because I think culturally, a lot of us are very, very different. And we were raised different, and we think certain things are funny that are not. There's a lot of differences, but for that to be the thing that stands out.
Well, one of the things.
Okay, what else? Okay,
one of the things. I think the other thing is women, we have a lot of ambition, but the workplace isn't set up for us.
Talk about that.
this idea of, have you seen the Lean In report that came out recently? It came out, I think, last week.
It's a LinkedIn project.
Lean In, the Lean Out. Is it Lean In? The book written by Sandra, I forget her name. She was the former CEO of not Facebook, Meta.
No, I've never heard of this. Okay.
So it's a Lean In report, and they mentioned the ambition gap. That the reason women are not rising in the workplace is because they lack. I'm yet to read the report, but just reading what's coming up on LinkedIn is women lack ambition.
Interesting.
And what I've seen around the table is not a lack of ambition. It's a lack of a workspace not created to cater to the needs of women.
Got it.
That comes out a lot in conversation, the discrimination at work. I think the biggest thing for me, this is number 2 before what I just said, is this idea of women speaking up at work. We do not speak up. We don't negotiate.
Yeah.
We don't ask what we want. And I see that around the table a lot, this idea of we shrinking. And I'm not someone that shrinks. I do shrink, but I'm not someone that shrinks. It's not my natural tendency to shrink.
Yeah, it's not your default.
It's not my default. So just watching the conversation of how sometimes you have to do things to get into rooms or say things so you don't look like the bitch at work.
Yeah.
And for you to climb the ladder is different for a man to climb. You might do all the work. You have to show up differently. So the idea of showing up, and I think it's the way we talk about as Black people, we show up different at work than with friends and family.
Of course.
Women have to do that dance. The way you talk to your boss, the way you show up at work, the way you dress to work. I think is that idea of shrinking as women, not asking for what we want. And that's why for me, that intentional ask at the table was important to me. Open your mind and let us know what you need.
Yeah, so
and
you can wait for something.
Someone can help you, or I would ask around for who can help you, because if you don't ask, someone knows what you need if you're not opening your mouth. And it's something I see a lot at the table, that struggle.
Yeah. What are the solutions that you guys walk away with? Or what solutions have you walked away with?
Personally, for me, it's the creating space for people to ask.
Yeah.
I'm always currently asking, what do you need? What do you want from the women that come to the table? Because I tend to do one-on-ones after dinner, or even before dinner or before brunches. And I'm always asking, not even asking directly, just listen to people talk. And I'm always asking, how can I help you? Or I know someone that can help you. So I'm very open personally, because I can't change the entire ecosystem in which we're socializing, how we work and how we grow up. But I'm always asking, how can I help you? I'm always making introductions. I know someone. They might not be the right person for you, but they may be, you talk to them. So that's the way in my world I show up for the women and even the men in my world, to say, you need something. I think I know someone that I can connect you with, that you can talk to.
Yeah, for the builders out there, or someone that doesn't have the space that you've created to ask or even build space, like, what advice do you have for them to first kind of identify what is it that they have in their hands that they can monetize? Do you have like an inkling or a framework of how they could get started?
I wouldn't say I have a framework, but the one thing that I tend to do, and I tell a lot of people that I talk to, friends, family, just people I'm talking to one-on-one, is be clear about what you want.
Yeah.
Be clear about what you want and why. So I tell, like, when I'm talking to, like, I have an accountability partner, and when we're talking, I'm always saying why. Why? Because for me, it's easier to put an ask on the table if you're clear about exactly what you're asking for.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you come to the Narrowed House table, the questions people ask you help you get to the really core ask. But one thing I tell people is get clear about what you want and why you want it, because it makes crafting an ask easier. It does. The second thing that I say this often is I need people, especially women, to get very decisive. But when you get clear about what you want, it's easier to be decisive. And when you feel like you can't make a decision, I always say, have you gathered all the information you need to make that decision? So it's like the two sides of one coin. Get decisive, make a decision. If it's not going to kill you, kill the next person, bring the war to an end, choose something and walk towards that thing. And if you're like, I'm not sure, I always say, okay, have you gathered all the info or as much info as you need to make a decision? And I'm not saying gathering for 1 year or 3 months. Gather the next thing you can gather to help you make the next decision. So I'm always about being clear about what you want and why you want it. Get really clear because it makes crafting your ask easier. And then get decisive. Make a decision. Something that the muscle I had to grow was a decision-making muscle. I'm very decisive. I could sit on something for 2-3 days. I'm like, okay, I need to gather my information. But I always get to being decisive.
Yeah,
make
you're not
a decision.
wishy-washy with
I'm
it.
not a tree. I can move. So even if this is not the best decision for me, I can move. Even trees get uprooted.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
Yeah.
How does this business align with ThriveCore? Because you also are founder of ThriveCore.
I would say ThriveCore is my skill set. I could let ThriveCore go today and get a job doing what I do at ThriveCore.
Because it's more like it's production still.
Yeah,
and
I'm a creative
project
producer. I manage projects,
Yeah.
documentaries, film, photos, podcasts, all of that. Storytelling.
So that's back to the core of what your other businesses have kind of. It's the fruit from which those seeds were planted.
They planted.
Okay,
Yeah. So
and then Inherent House is completely separate.
It's a hard work. I'm not sure where it's gonna go, but it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to pause today and say to choose one, I would get a 9-to-5 and build Inherent House.
Yeah.
So ThriveCore is a skill set. I love telling stories. I love production. I love writing. I love being at a creative production table talking how to tell a documentary story. Hiring the cast, managing the project. I love doing that.
Yeah.
All the event planning, it's a project. I can manage a production. But it's a job that I do enjoy and love doing and love calling the shot at. So
I bet. Do you think what you're doing now with Inherent House and even as you're in your third business with ThriveCore, are you starting to heal the girl you once were that experienced that first rejection of losing that job and having to recalibrate? Because I know it choked you up a little bit, but you've come so much, you're so far from who, I don't even know if you still know that person because you've now evolved. Do you think where you are now and your ability to pour into other women, is that healing young AdeOla?
Yeah, it is. It's funny. I've always been a very confident person.
Yeah.
But the journey of entrepreneurship humbles you.
It does.
It rips you apart, it puts you back together, and then rip you apart again. So I've gone from that young, humble, young, confident, maybe sometimes even ego-driven lady to a more still confident but very centered. And that journey of going from that rejection to building my own things and hustling through and figuring out what I wanted to do. I think for me, it's built in me, it's healed me to see that rejection did not break you.
Yes.
Like it still kind of sometimes chokes me up sometimes, but it's not from a place of, it was like, wow.
It's not sadness.
It's not sadness. It's just more, wow, look at where you've come from.
Yeah.
If I did not get rejected that way, I wouldn't know that I could build stuff.
Yeah.
I would have moved to Pennsylvania, taken the job in the healthcare, climbed the ladder. But that rejection opened me up to, and many rejections after that opened me up to so many things that I'm doing. I wouldn't have been in production. I would have been in healthcare, epidemiology, or healthcare interventions. But I'm a producer. I'm a producer through and through. And I love producing. And I'm glad that I was rejected.
Really?
I'm glad that I was.
You can look back on it now fondly.
What?
Yeah.
It was a job.
Yeah.
But that rejection, so that's why let's say crying and just like, what am I going to do? To saying, no, I'm going to go out there and engage what's in my heart, what's in my hands, and what's in front of me. That got me here. I wouldn't have built Inherent House if I did not get rejected and decide to start my own business. I probably would have gone a different journey that would have been good for me.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have dreamt this up and I wouldn't have lived this out. So, no, it's what it is.
Do you think that you're living in your calling now?
That's a good question. I think callings evolve. In this season, in this point in my life, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in this season.
Got it.
I think fundamentally, I am called to do something with women. I believe fundamentally. And how that shows up is going to shift and change. So in terms of if narrowed down my calling, part of it, it's a fragment of it. I could do in narrowed house forever, but I have 50, 60 years ahead of me.
Yeah.
So I'm in my calling for this season, for this era of mine, for this age, for this decade.
I think that you spoke to something that most people don't say on this show, is that your calling evolves because you evolve.
Yes.
But at least the base and the core of it for you, that I gather, is still service, and you're serving your target audience.
I'm making money. I'm just joking.
And that too. And make it. No, you're not kidding, because you was like, we still get checks over here. But in Hair House, it's serving the women as a part to. It's like you're rectifying that experience you had in corporate, being tapped on your face.
On my face.
Of all places, or someone telling, oh, you're so gorgeous, and letting that be kind of your value proposition. It's like you're stripping that away. Yeah. And then you're giving that worth and value back to other women that may have had similar experiences. Yes. So,
because we've all had fragment of those experiences.
We've had fragments, yes, of just not necessarily. I have never had anybody touch my person. The fact that you.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I don't mean that exactly.
I've had people make me feel unworthy,
condescend towards you, patronizing. So when you were younger, the little girl in the room, all the things. Yeah.
I've been there. That's what I called it, because I remember first entering corporate post-grad school. I was also working with all middle-aged white men, and I was the same. I was in my 20s. I was the same age as their children. So it was, they're there. She's so cute, and my voice not being heard, and have to learn to get your voice back, like you said.
And me being a bubbly, extroverted.
You are super bubbly, and for somebody to try to pull the plug out of that. Yeah.
So it's I think, and one thing that I hear from my clients a lot, and I do hear from the ladies that come to the table, is I am pretty direct. They say you're very direct and clear, but also very warm. We know what we're getting with you. And at the tables, I hear women say that a lot, that when you speak, you're very clear about what you want to do, how you want to do it, and it's a safe space because we know what we're getting.
Yes.
And that's something I want to give to women, is this being very clear about what you want, and being direct about asking for it, and being warm about it also, because studies show that for women to get that in the workplace, you have to be both assertive and kind. Men don't have to include the kindness into it. So we got to figure out how to learn to make this space work for us. My clients telling me, you're very clear and very direct. You're very boundaried, but at the same time very warm. So it's easier to hear your nose and be like, okay, she's not doing that. And it's something that I try to pass on in the way I show up in spaces, that we can all go into rooms and ask for what we want. We're very clear about what we're asking for. Yeah. And sometimes even in clarity, you feel like, oh, there's still some blind spots. I need to go figure out exactly what I really want. But that's something I would like all human beings to actually have. This clarity and decisiveness about what you want, where you want to go, and asking for it.
Yeah, I think we can really end on that note, because I always ask the people that I interview to give some how-tos or speak life, but it sounds like an easy thing to do, but sometimes it's really difficult to be clear and decisive. Yeah. Especially when you on the fence yourself about what, like you said, what you want and what you desire, and a lot of that uncertainty is just not knowing what's happening around you and how that's gonna go. But I do want to leave the audience with that. Take a moment to yourself, similar to what you did, to be clear and decisive. And I think people respect a made-up mind. Like, this is what's good for me. This is the path I'm gonna go. And if nothing can kind of sway or shake you in that, like, those are your marching orders. And I think you've done a very good job of forging your own path by being clear about what you wanted to do next, being clear about your value, being clear about your talents, and then making decisions that aligned with that. So I really hope that you guys can take away from that. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think I've said enough and a lot.
AdeOla, thank you so much for sharing your journey, how you turned your crossroad of just rejection and even being uncomfortable in corporate spaces into being businesses that are thriving and that not only support you financially, because we know you get to the bag, but you're also supporting a network of women that is continually to grow. Please tell the audience how they can get plugged into Inherit House or the best way to connect with you.
Yes, so I am on LinkedIn, AdeOla Fadumiye. I think my full name is going to be in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yes. And inherithouse.com is inherit as an inheritance, but just inherit house, HAUS.com, as in the German spelling for
House.
a house. And you can sign up for a newsletter. It's the best way to stay connected. I do write twice a month, and I'm a storyteller, so I tell some stories and some practical ways to move forward. But that's the best way to connect with me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I hope you guys plug into what AdeOla has to offer. I know there are a lot of people in transition, and she has a lot of tangible tools. Even for me, from the place of me being laid off, you connected me with Chella, who not necessarily got me to my next opportunity, but sometimes you just need a neutral party just to see you beyond where you are. And I felt like that was just such a gift for someone to just speak life to you. And
Chella's amazing.
Yeah, she didn't, and it cost her nothing. And you know, I don't think we even had a deep conversation thereafter. But sometimes you just need somebody to just give you a little push just to get you to your next. Not that I went in there with that expectation, but it was just, it came in, it was just timely. Yeah, almost
Because I kept
divine.
saying, talk to this person, talk to this person. Like, talk to Chella.
She knows. She knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so please tap into AdeOla's network. There's tons of women that you can pour into and that would love to pour into you. And so I thank you for sharing your story. I thank you for visiting with us. Crossroads and Callings is on all major podcasts as well as YouTube. Please subscribe. And lastly, I would like to thank the National Public Housing Museum for being an amazing partner for me. This is a new room that we are in. And so we're trying some things out here, Crossroads and Callings. But as always, give us your feedback, share your crossroads with us. We would love to even hear some feedback for AdeOla about what you think about her episode and some of the things she said about being clear and decisive and how that may have spoken to you. And as always, please use your crossroads as an avenue to get you to your highest and greatest calling.